We are always excited about our prospect lives. We love bringing transparency to the process of site location. The companies find it very helpful in terms of being able to meet multiple communities all at once. We record these so that if people have questions about the project in the future, they can reach out to us, view the recording so that a submission is very accurate and consistent with what the company's looking for and seeking to be successful. And today's guests are amazing. I've actually done and participated with this project and got involved in participating in one of their events. And it's truly a game changer, I think, for any community. And just can't say enough about the impact that this can make on a community level, on a bonding level, social level, and really a level from getting name recognition from the following that they're getting on social media. I think of it as kind of a Buc-ee's. People want to go to a Buc-ee's and get a Denton Buc-ee's or an Oklahoma Buc-ee's shirt, and these VR facilities will be able to play each other, and people will be able to promote which VR facility they've attended and which VR facility that they're playing. With that said, today's goals, we're going to just do a quick overview. We're going to fly through this first part. Apologize if this is your first time. We just kind of give a brief introduction about GSLI and our background, so you fully understand what we do in our process. And then we'll meet the project, and then we want to leave time at the end to really open up the mics or open up the Q&A box for you to ask questions that'll help make your submissions much more accurate for the project. If you're asking who should be here, we've got our community clients. These are our Elite Cities members. I see a lot of them in here and truly have great relationships with them. In fact, like I said, I just got back from Jerome, Idaho, did a 2-day tour there and found some amazing locations and really got a hands-on experience with it. We appreciate all of our elite members because they are who we are. They are the ones that work with all of our projects. They do submissions. We've also got some trial communities on here today. Those are communities that are kind of standing on the outside looking in and saying, hey, do we really want to get involved with Elite Cities and the projects that they work with? Is everybody still here? Please let me know in the chat box. We just had a power failure here. I guess things you never can anticipate. All right, so let's continue. I'm going to make sure that we're recording here.
Be the co-host, please.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. Got to reset all of this. I totally apologize. There's a first for everything. All right, let's go to record, make sure we're recording. All right, we are recording still, so this is witnessed on tape. So went through the people that are here. Housekeeping items, all questions, please make sure that this is an interactive session for you. We want your questions answered. Again, we are transcribing this. We'll send this out. If you want to go live, raise your hand. That'll help me find you through all of our guests. And from there, we'll allow you to come online and ask questions. Who we have today, we have myself, Eric Kleinsorge. I am the CEO, chairman, and founder of Global Site Location Industries. We have my daughter, Ashley Kleinsorge. She joined the team 4 years ago and is in charge of project identification and coordination. We've got Salem Thine. He is the president of Project VR Quest, which you'll learn the name of the company in just a moment. We also have another guest, Brandon, who is the operations director in charge of making sure that that is a well-oiled machine for them. I do want to give Salem a shout out. I've started reading his book. He does have a book. You can find it on Amazon and some other places. It is called Nobody Cares Until You Do. Living Beyond the Blame, Excuses, and Doubts That Hold You Back. So really good story, good motivational book. Actually, not just good for you, but probably for some of your peers and people that you work with in the workplace. So really nice job on the book, Salem. And thank you for the copy that you provided me. Who is GSLI? We're in the business of helping bridge the gap between communities and companies that are looking to expand or relocate. We have built an exclusive network of communities. Those are called our elite cities. And those are the people that we rely on as our field, our feet on the ground around the nation. So when a project's looking for new locations, we rely on them to provide submissions and provide information about their communities to help these projects locate. And those communities have unlimited ability to submit on all of our projects. We do about 100 to 110 projects per year, and they can submit on all those, although they know that they are legitimate and real active projects. They really select which ones they want to get involved with. We also have non-member communities. Those are people, we allow every community to make one submission per year. And that's really to get used to our process and decide if they'd love to be a part of our network. Again, we currently have 127 active projects. You can find them there at www.gsliprojectportal.com. I encourage you, if you have not been there, go there, take a look at the projects. We give the information for you to take a look at. And in fact, this project, Project VR, is in there for you to take a look at. We've had a lot of success. 67 of our projects landed last year. We try to update those every 6 months so that we know if you can take them out of your pipeline or not. And we give a 45-day update on the progress of the projects. So try not to let any information slip through the cracks and keep you apprised of how they are progressing. Now, this is the part where Ashley usually steps in because she really handles the project identification, and her entire day is filled with monitoring our 7 pillars and which area the next lead is going to come from. This particular project is a living example of you never know where the next project's going to come from. I was driving around in our hometown, saw this building that I've been familiar with for about 25 years, and saw a new sign on the side that said bar, food, and entertainment. And I said, man, I'm going to go check that out. And I was absolutely blown away when I walked into this facility, from the experience, from the second you walked into the facility to everything you could do in the facility, from the gaming to getting involved in one of the actual VR sessions, to the food was spectacular. It was really exciting. And I didn't know they had these plans of expanding, but through my talks and sitting down and just talking with them, found out that they have very aggressive expansion plans. And I said, by the way, we could help you facilitate that in a very easy process. And so the relationship was born, and we are here today doing the Prospect Live and helping them find some of their locations. Ash, if you could go over what you found in terms of the facility size and the project overview, the needs.
Yeah, so this is just a quick overview of kind of the key factors that they'll be looking for. So a 25,000 square foot facility and then a 35,000 square foot facility. They're looking to locate their next place to be pretty quickly. I believe that, in less than 6 months, they'd like to have the next location set, and then plans to expand beyond that later on. At the facilities, they project about 25 jobs to be created. And then they prefer to buy the building, and then they will obviously need to come in and do some construction just to make sure that it fits all of their needs and have everything set up for them. And then they are looking in Texas, specifically the DFW area, but then they are interested in other areas just to see what really is out there that might be a good fit. And then some locations in Oklahoma have also been discussed as well, but I'll let them get more in depth with that later on. But Salem and Brandon, we're super excited to have you guys on here, and I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Eric. Eric, thank you for the shout out of the book and your review of our site so far. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Salem, I thought it'd be a good idea here. I captured one of your videos to kind of give and before anybody decides to jump off because of the clear identification of Texas, they have a United States plan, and they are going to be open. How many of these facilities is in your plan to open?
I think overall we're about 100 to 150 of these across the country. So that will be a collection of what I'm doing and what others that I work with are doing. So we have 25 that we would like to put in the South. That's under my direct control. But then also I have some other associates that would be putting them all over the country. So before anybody jumps off, this is a plan. We intend to have 100 to 150 of these across the country someday.
Yeah, and so you know how we operate. We look at a project as a starting and a stopping point for one community. So this would actually be ultimately 150 different projects for us. So that's why we're so excited about it and being able to make such an impact with all communities. Let me see if I can hit play, and this will kind of give you guys a feeling for what the facilities are like. And if somebody in the chat box from my team could write that, you could hear the sound, because whenever I reloaded, I want to make sure that the sound can be heard. All right, guys, we're going to start back over because I'm getting a couple of can't hear the sound. So here we go. So great stuff. That's to give you an idea, because I participated in one of those events, and they'll kind of go into that. You walk about 1.25 miles per session, and you do get a sweat, and you do feel fully immersed whenever you're looking at your partners and your other people in the facility. They're gaming robots or whatever you want to call them. They're avatars. And it's really a unique and great experience. I thought of doing it just to stay in shape. So so Salem, yeah, go ahead and talk about the project, and I'll flip through the slides for you.
All right, appreciate it, Eric. Thanks again, Eric and Ashley, for having us. I'm really excited to present this out to the group that's here. We are EVA, so this is a concept that originated originally in France. And my company, Middle Initial, is the exclusive EVA franchisee in Texas. Additionally, through other states in the South. and the first one in the United States. So we're really leading the way, and we have a very aggressive expansion plan. And it is really cool there. What we think about with EVA is a combination of VR, esports in a way, because we do have leagues and esports aspects, and entertainment, along with a bar and restaurant, and most importantly, a place to bring our community. We started this and we brought this to the United States because we wanted a place that our community can come and build and compete in a friendly and non-aggressive fashion. So EVA is that start. It's really the evolution of virtual reality, gaming, esports, and entertainment. It's next level, full free roaming. As we say, it's a 5,500 square foot play surface, and we can put multiple of those in each one of our locations as needed. Our bar and restaurant's amazing, and I think probably some of our best reviews we get are just on the food. Eric talked about that earlier. Our first location that we started with is in Flower Mound, Texas here. So we started in this location. We opened this in January 27th of this year. You can see some pictures there on the screen. What we have basically is an elevated, like really elevated entertainment experience. What we didn't want to be was loud and noisy. We wanted a place that middle-aged adults can come and bring their kids and enjoy the experience across multiple age demographics. So you'll see some pictures in here, and they're very elevated. Hardwood floors, really nice experience overall. Combine that with our cyber bar and our food, as you see here, drinks and cocktails elevated to smoked old fashions and such. So this is not at your college bar feel. It is really an elevated feel from start to finish in our experiences. It is a growing U.S. brand. Since we opened, we've had millions of views on TikTok for some of our content. You'll see that there. We've had influencers from esports, from entertainment, sports influencers, professional athletes attend, all in our first year of operation here. And every one of them love it and want to continue to help us grow our brands. You see Chris Gronkowski came out as well. I think we'll have all the Gronkowskis out at some point next year. We have some testimonials, American Ninja Warrior, Carson Williams, and these are people that are partnering with us. So you can see the draw that we have from an influencer in a sports community, that people just absolutely love the physical nature. Problem with esports in the past is you're on your computer at home. I think most of us can say one of the problems we have with gaming is a sedentary lifestyle. EVA answers that. And what we wanted to do is provide community hotspots where people can come together, get off the couch, get away from Netflix, come play, have a good time, but also just enjoy our environment.
Yeah, and something I would have mentioned there, whenever I envision this actually tracks, doesn't it? Salem, the activity, how far you walk,
Yes.
you know, how many
Yeah,
calories
so
you burn.
we have an online database, but also just basically a portal that you start with your player account that tracks every step that you take, how far you've gone, things like that. We're adding calorie burns, we're adding heart rate monitors as we go forward. It's just a really cool thing. One thing that Eric didn't mention, but I'll mention again, you mentioned it a little bit, but we can play basically this game, and we have a multitude of games that we offer and more into development over the next couple of years, but we can play any other site. So the great part is I saw the people from various parts around the country is you can connect with old friends. I can play here in Flower Mound against an arena somewhere in Idaho, and perhaps that's where my old college buddies are at, and we can schedule the same time and play against each other, which nobody else can do.
And the other cool concept of that I became familiar with. So if, let's say you travel to the France facility, you can have a France patch on your character that shows and tells everybody that you played in these other facilities, which is
absolutely. So we have a huge community vibe, and part of the thing is what I loved is the old Hard Rock days, right? You'd go to different Hard Rock, get a T-shirt or whatever it was from there. We do it digitally, so every location you go to, you get a customized skin that you can only get with your player count if you play at that location. So what you have is you have people that start to travel to different cities, and you see that in France already. They travel to the various cities just to play one session to get that special skin, and that's just that really good customization. And so in the United States, it'll be even crazier. So with 100 to 150 locations across the U.S., people may just come out to your town just to get the skin, and so they'll be traveling for the weekend.
absolutely.
In the news, you can see that this isn't just like I'd say a mom and pop kind of shop. We have had quite a bit of news coverage between French media with our partners in France, all the way to the U.S. here. We have leagues, which is like, to me, the new bowling league. We can move them away from bowling and they can actually go play, and it's a physical sport. We had people drop their gym memberships just because they get so much activity here. And we're constantly evolving our programming and what we're offering out to our audience. Our normal business model for the United States, EVO locations first, then we'll start our franchising. So we start our first location here, understand the full business model, costs, and the profits associated with that, franchise, and then the real estate. And I think we mentioned earlier, that's why we want to buy. We do believe we want to purchase most of our buildings as we expand across the United States. We do have our local leagues that launched here in the United States, and in France, they're very, very popular with over 100 teams across all their locations. And eventually over in 2026, 2027 timeframe, we do expect to have like a world championship. So this is something that the rest of the world is coming around with, and we're bringing it to the United States. As you can see, the viral growth. When I first approached the company was in 2021. They had 3 locations. Now we just celebrated our 30th operating location. So just this month, a couple of days ago. And you can see that growth over the last couple years just in France alone. Additionally, they'll be expanding through Germany, all throughout Europe. We also have some out in the UAE, and then we'll see India, China, eventually Australia. But for the purpose of this, we're the U.S. franchisee, and we're here to try to continue to open these up throughout the U.S. But it's just caught on like wildfire. What matters for a community is how much sometimes revenue we generate. We expect our locations to generate somewhere around that $3.5 million of transactions a year. You start seeing this, we can compete with Dave & Buster's, Top Golf. We generally compare ourselves to those as an emerging brand, and we believe that we'll find our place with those brands over the next 5 to 10 years. About 30 employees or so per location, depending on the size. Our sizes range, as Ashley said, from 25,000 square feet to 35,000 square feet. So it's kind of dependent on what kind of footprint that we put down in each local community. Our management team and advisors, we have some of the best advisors out there, and they're coming into our management team as well, from Dave & Buster's background, from Lucky Strike, these executives that have actually come in and seen this facility or heard about our facility and are just thrilled to be working with us because they believe this is the next great entertainment option in the United States. So that's what really motivated us to contact Eric, and Eric came in and talked to us as well, and just to really expand this and have an aggressive expansion plan. So this is really the meat and potatoes portion of this. Guest demographics. What you're going to see is some demographics here. What we love and what I like to focus on is that age range. This is not just this isn't a kid's place, right? This is a place for multiple generations. We've had 4 generations of people play this experience out on our arena floor. So that's a pretty amazing experience that we can have. But what you start seeing is this 45 to 54 age range, 35 to 44 age range. We trend really well in that. And that's very hard sometimes to find entertainment for those age groups. That's my age groups there too. So that's why we designed this for a place for me to come. And I can also bring my maybe teenage kids and reconnect with them. Income levels, as you can see there, our real sweet spot is the 50 to 100K income level. Education levels, we do attract higher level educations. So this is great in college towns and such, where you have that higher level of education. And then ethnicity wise, it's pretty broad. So we don't see really anything that we are exclusive. One thing about this experience, and I was talking about this yesterday, Eric, this is the only real kind of entertainment and sports experience that has an equal playing field no matter what, for gender, anything. You get in the game and you're just there to play. So what we see is men, women, there's really no advantage or demographic change. There's nothing that has to happen. So I love it. And it really brings more women out into the sporting field for us. And so that's something that we're really focused on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, an interesting thing that we talked about is I could see that high schools could adopt this as a class.
Yes.
You know, in terms of how many kids tried out for the baseball team and didn't make it, or tried out for the basketball team. But this actually has a physical component to it that you can track and give back to the high school. So instead of going out and practicing baseball for a class, they could go to one of these types of facilities. And the second thing that I found really impressive is the number of corporations that kind of came in there. And I guess how many times you get a chance to shoot up at your boss,
Yeah.
and
It's been
they're in
more
there
and more
just hooting and
popular.
hollering, and really good corporate building event. And they
Yeah.
actually thought of that and put in a board meeting room that they could go meet and have a board meeting or a company meeting, then go play a game together and really bond as a team. So
That's a great
really,
point, Eric. Every one of our locations have event spaces, and they're kind of more designed for the higher quality event spaces. So you could have a board meeting, or we've had lots of team building meetings, and they come here and they go over whatever their agenda is for the quarter of the year, and then they go out and they get to shoot each other and have some fun, enjoy some good food. I think we do probably about 20 team buildings a month here alone. We've hosted companies from every size company, Meta all the way down to just, your local auto repair place. And every one of them tell us it's the best team building and just the best environment that they've been in a long time.
it's awesome.
State times, we are trying to work on raising these up a little bit, but they're just around 2 hours. So a little under 2 hours right now, about hour 40 minutes is what our average stay time is. So our guests will stay. We do have some improvements as we continue to go through our expansion. We expect our average or median stay time to increase by 20 minutes overall. This is our utility requirements. Because we have a bar and restaurant, we do have some things like grease trap and water requirements that are a little bit more onerous sometimes. This is what our standard facility would require. Our zoning, really commercial, sometimes we'll need special uses. Everybody on here knows those kind of things, special use permits, depending on each municipality. Our ceiling height, we really look for taller buildings if we can, as far as a minimum of 15-foot clearance is a key. Probably the number one thing for us is most of us are looking for really clear span type of locations. We need 5,500 square feet that are clear, or an ability to make it clear. So generally roof loadings and such are restrictive for us, but that's why I like those fringe industrial places that maybe a lot of you guys are trying to boost up. We're that great anchor that can come in and bring a lot of people in and bring other development into those spaces, because as your city has grown or your town has grown, sometimes those areas of industrial areas are no longer desired where they're at. So we love those, and we are a destination spot, so it's not necessarily in high traffic areas that we need.
Yeah, and that's what I really saw in this, because really when I drove by the facility, I see the same white warehouse looking building, and then you go in and it makes you want to drive to the location. So once someone experiences it, they come back. And so it really doesn't, the preferred, I would say, would be in a very high traffic zone, but not necessarily a must. If you have a lot of transient people from other towns that would drive 45 minutes as your average drive time, it doesn't have to be in a high traffic zone. So
and we can scale it appropriate to the demographic. Some things that I like to note on here: internet. We definitely need internet access. We don't need huge internet 1 gig, which is pretty common in most communities, and we can work around that if needed. But that may limit some of our streaming and capabilities. But really, in the end, it's this 55 by 102 column obstruction-free space per arena. That is a requirement for us, and that makes it to where we either have to go into a building and move columns, support columns to attain a 55 by 102 kind of spacing, or we look for really, clear span type buildings, ideally. And now, as far as a building suit, we can do that as well, and we can do that on any property.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, in terms of the arena space, I envision it as about the size of a basketball court.
That's exactly right. It is within a couple of feet of a basketball court size. So if you had a full court basketball, place, or a volleyball arena, generally those are the places that we can kind of go into right away.
Perfect.
This is an example of like a floor plan that you would see in this is our right here in Flower Mound, our 24, almost 25,000 square foot facility here. You see the majority of the space is in those 2 arenas, a full size basketball court. We house about 10 people per session in each one of those arenas. As far as the city kind of stuff is concerned, we still do occupancy for the entire square footage, and it's for safety and fire safety. But we do try to ask for tolerances associated with bathrooms and such, because we're never going to put more than 10 people in each one of those arenas. The other side of that is a upgraded lounge, bar, environment. There's really 4 or 5 experiences you can have here, from the gaming to the relaxing. We have couches and chairs and these little seated areas that people like just to hang out and have meetings on. We have people that come in here, much like a Starbucks, that come in here, they use the internet, they hang out, they have, you know, some food for lunch or wherever else, and they just do their work here. So what we find is we're a community spot.
Yeah, and one thing to really touch on, they have a lot of video games, they have billiards, they have all these other things that are, you don't even charge for those.
No, so each one of our facilities will have free gaming elements no matter what. We may add, you know, we have charged gaming elements as well, but my take on this, no matter what, and my insistence is that you can come to one of our locations and you can hang out and you can play a couple games for free and you can do some stuff, enjoy yourself, have your work day, or if kids are coming from the high school, we want them to have a safe environment to be able to hang out in. I think we went
This
over
is your
that.
35,000.
Oh,
You
yep.
have
So
25 and
we have
35,000.
2 footprints, about a 25,000 and a 35,000 square foot facility footprint. In the larger areas, we do prefer to put a larger footprint in there. We can go up to 3 arenas or add a lot more arcade into those areas if we go to 2 arenas. And so you'll see just slight differences. It's not tremendous. Once again, the arena spacing is our biggest issues. So sometimes what we find is old skate rinks, things like that, or you know, that those are moving along, and what do we do with that building as a community hotspot? Our second location is actually going into something just like that, and it's ideal for us. This is an example of our future. This is our next location, 33,000 square foot. This was an old skate rink. So you can see there's clear span for us. And this is a 3 arena design. Additionally, we can go 2 arenas and add a tremendous amount of gaming. What you'll see here, though, is you see things like duck pin bowling, AR darts, really, really cool stuff that we're adding to our facilities as we grow. So this becomes that spot that commonly in the communities, you say, man, what are we going to go do today? And you're not sure. We want to be the place that you're going to come and have a good time every time. Safe. It's not a bar. It is a community spot, and that's something that we're insistent on.
Yeah, and something that stands out to me, Salem, because I'm very familiar with Flower Mound, our my hometown's strict codes on what you can put on a building and everything. It looks like this one you've really added some graphics and some really eye-catching things, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's our goal always, but we have to work with the local municipalities and we respect what they have and the desires on that. But definitely, we're really trying to be a cutting edge brand and be very recognizable and draw people to it. So you'll see the murals and the graphics, Grapevine a little more open than our current location. And that's pretty much it. You'll see there. That's just all the stuff we stream every day to Twitch. So you're bringing in, you know, the local communities. They can see where you're at. Every one of our locations. We'd have tournaments, leagues, everything associated with the sport, and then we have their entire entertainment side as well.
So, Chris, if you could put up the poll, how many, respect all the guests here, and how many of our guests are really looking to add and attract a retail entertainment type component? I work with a ton of communities, and it used to be church and state. The chambers used to work on it, economic development didn't, and now it's really become a combined thing to bring quality of life to a facility, and that's being echoed right now. We're at absolutely 100% yes. So that's
trying to do it the right way. Trying to make sure, like some things that we don't talk about, like our hours. We really don't go past midnight. We're not here to be a spot that people are shutting down and last call or any of that stuff. We're here to be a place that you can take a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, all the way up to 85, and all enjoy their time, and the whole entire family will enjoy it.
Yeah, if I could get in it, anybody can get in it.
I think the best compliment I got when we first opened here, Eric, was she was a 46-year-old mother. She had a martini in her hand. And I said, hey, are you enjoying the time here? And she says, you know what? This is the only place I've ever been. I have 3 sons, and they're like 12, 17, and 22. And she's like, this is the only place that I can go play a game. They'll all play together, and then I can come and have a martini and enjoy myself while the boys are having a good time. She goes, otherwise they argue about what they do. So we really hit what we wanted to hit here, which is a place that you can bring your family and everybody will have a good time while they're here. So that's really what we see.
And to speak to the, a lot of people might be a little scared about the, VR, and am I going to get sick? Am I going to get whatever, is it going to create a bad experience for me? That's kind of what my perception was. And then I jumped in it. And because you're running around and walking and actually interacting with the virtual environment, you don't get any sickness. And in fact, you get so immersed in it.
Yeah.
A compliment to you is one of my buddies. I might as well just call him Hulk. He's a massive guy. He's huge. And he was screaming like a little girl in there when the zombies were coming after him. I was like, dude, settle down. So you do get into the environment, and there's multiple seasons and different things that come out that keep people coming back. So
that's great. Thank you.
Really cool concept.
Super immersive, no sickness. We get that all the time of people that say that. And I say, look, when you move, your inner ear, disruption isn't there, and you can't move. In order to play in our environment, you have to do everything. So what you do is you do travel about 1 mile per session. You're doing, sometimes, depending on how athletic you are, you might be squatting and kneeling and doing those kind of things. The younger kids do that a lot, running around pretty quick. For some of us, the rest of us, we might kind of sit more in the corners and try to take people out. Additionally, we're developing other games that will be released next year, more kid-friendly games as we go forward. This is just our first foray into this. So what I like to see is that it's constant development. We're releasing new content every couple months, and so people are just coming back for that. So we get a really high refresh rate on our attendance.
That's great. So let's transition over into, and I'm going to, I apologize about that downtime, so I don't want to take away from a Q&A opportunity. We've had these questions kind of sent in. These are kind of to warm us up. This is meant for you. If you're a community, I see Calumet City, Illinois already made a comment about how they're developing an entertainment district around an old mall corridor. But think about that. And if you can, put your questions in there that you have, specific about your area, specific about what you guys are looking for, and let's try to make some good matches. But my first question, you've already answered it. Do you have plans for expanding beyond Texas? If so, could you share kind of projected timelines on the ones that go beyond Texas?
Yep. So anywhere outside of the Texas and the South, me personally may be expanding there. If I don't, we have other associates that are expanding in other states. So those could be as soon as conversations in the next couple months link up. Definitely interested. I can expand anywhere in the United States. So if I have the right environment and it looks good and the right situation, then I'm open to that. We'll just grab investment and we'll open everywhere. The goal here is 100 to 150 across the United States. It could go up to 250 at some point, but the first goal is 100 to 150 across the US. We have full support from our content provider in France, and this is a very, very big push for us. Our whole focus is now expansion in the United States, now that Europe has signed over 90 locations that will be open over the next couple of years in Europe. We're trying to match that here in the United States.
So quick question, correct me if I'm wrong, Salem, because I was actually watching a corporate event handled there, and the gentleman was from Oklahoma. And then I think he actually approached you guys and said, I want to open one of these.
Yeah.
Is that how you find some of your investors and people?
Yes.
Because I want to throw that out to the communities here. If you have an investor or you have someone in your community that would get behind this, I'm sure if they flew into Flower Mound and you put them into the facility, they would get a really good idea of what it would take and how they could get involved.
Absolutely. So what we find generally people come here and say, oh my God, I want to put one of these in my local community. So that's fantastic. We work with them. We work on if they want to operate, if we'll operate it for them. If they want to invest, we have a couple different models to be able to do that with them. And so it's just like really off the shelf. Since we opened, we've been putting together all of our operating manuals, procedures to make this a very easy thing to bring into a community, how it's going to be successful. So if these communities have investors or have people that they know that would like to bring something like this to community, it's very easy. Set them up. We'll send them out here. We'll talk. We'll make it happen. And then we just got to find the building or the land. And we have plans of how to build the suits if you have land available. And we can put this up in very short order.
Perfect. I'm going to go over to some of the questions as they flow, and then we can go back to some of the ones that were brought in. Sheldon Mudd, he's actually one of our members up in Nevada, and great guy. In fact, I was pretty close to him when I was out in Jerome, about 2.5 hours. It's a gold capital of the world. It is more of a rural situation, but people will drive further. He's asking, do you have a minimum threshold for community population? What is the smallest area that you'd consider for one of your facilities? And I'm thinking, I'm thinking of Elkhorn or Elko, Nevada, and some of those are part of his territory. But
yeah, I think it's a tough one when we get to some of the more rural areas. I think the key with that is what are people really, where are we pulling from? So I've looked at some areas here in Texas to say, okay, well, usually when you get to rural, every city is about 15 minutes apart on the drive, and you have like, a 10,000 and a 15,000 or 7,000 here. For our initial expansion, I really try to keep us somewhere around that area that we can pull from is somewhere around that 200,000 would be ideal. But it depends. If you're the only entertainment place around, I can put one arena in, we can put in a smaller bar and a smaller restaurant aspect to it. And usually those will do really well as well. So we have different floor plans for the different size communities. And so for me, it's really, I'm open to having the discussion, looking at what it is. We grab all of our data. We work with Placer AI to do that as well, just to pull drive times and find out. And if we can pull enough, then I'm okay. I try to stay, like I say, 200,000-ish in that region. And generally that's something dependent on drive time. I try to say 30-minute of drive time.
okay, Rick, I think that answers it. Rick's from Covington County, Alabama, and just traveled to London with me for a trade show. Kind of the same. Does that kind of answer your question, Rick? I'll let you over in the chat box put yes or no. Then we've got another question. Okay, awesome, Rick. This one, the question from anonymous: how do you see this working in a rural town and also a tourist location? So, meaning it's a big tourist destination, so a lot of transient people. Yep. Do you see them stopping into a facility like this?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a draw. So when we opened here in Flower Mound, Texas, which is maybe not the center of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we had people travel from Seattle, North Carolina, California, Florida to come in. If you can't experience this in somewhere in your town and you know that it's in that local tourist attraction place, it's fantastic. The key on that is that you can't play this anywhere else in the United States right now. So I think what we find is over the next 5-10 years, yeah, this is a desirable place to be. We've even talked to companies like Six Flags of putting it in there so more people. So I compare Six Flags to a tourist destination only because people go there once or twice, maybe once a year. So it definitely has that attraction.
Perfect. I think this is a good question in terms of the type of building. I know you said, warehouse, things like that. You now have investors that are kind of getting behind it to actually build the buildings. So it opens up a whole new aspect with some of these communities that have land available. Kind of describe that a little bit in depth.
Yeah, so for the land availability, we can do a build-to-suit. We have a couple different partners that can do build-to-suit. We can do anything from tilt wall or just steel construction on the building. So we partner with a couple different suppliers of that. One of them is Rhino Steel Construction out of here. So that's the big clear span type buildings, steel buildings. We need about 2.5 to 3 acres, depending on the size of the building. To include the parking, that's what everybody will talk about is parking, the adequate amount of parking on the location, and then depend on the size of the building. So we know that we can basically build and outfit one of these dependent on the dirt work and some of those aspects anywhere from about 8 months to a year, and also, of course, supply chain. So, but we can go into any kind of those communities. I prefer that if we don't have an easy building that we're trying to renovate into, like an old industrial complex or something like that. I prefer it just because we can build exactly the way we want it to begin with, and I have partners for that. So I have a list of real estate investors that are bugging me about when we're going to do the next ones, and they want to get behind our builds because they love the concept and they like our numbers.
Yeah, remind me also, Salem, after this call, I don't see Donna on here. If you are Donna, go ahead and raise your hand. But from Ballinger, I actually toured a facility that they do pre-construction buildings because we were working on another project. And now that I think about it, it is almost the perfect fit. And they were doing these buildings in 4 months.
Yeah.
So 4 to
Yeah,
6 months.
We can raise them up in about 4 months, depending on the dirt work and, things like that. So about 4 months, we can get them up to what we call white box plus standard. And then it takes us about 2 months or so for us to put everything in that we need in place, test it out, staff ready. So our short order time frame is like a 6 months, but I like to say up to a year just because that's how things go.
Well, to speak to your organization, the Flower Mound location, that went in really quick.
4.5 months.
Yeah.
So we went to a full renovation project here in 4.5 months, and I'm a driver of getting things done. This is the way I am. I'll make sure it gets done on the timeline that we say.
So Rick asked a question. The employment kind of was answered in the beginning. It was about 30, anywhere from 20 to 30 employees.
Yep. So what we do, about 20 to 30 employees, it's a range of positions. As we have a kitchen and a bar, you'll have a bartending staff, we'll have kitchen staff, and then we cross-train every one of our positions. One cool thing that we wanted to do, I come from a varied background of training HR or business, is that I believe that, if we're hiring young people, we should train them for as many jobs as possible. So every one of our people here cross-train. So they may be running a game as a game master. They may be the host in the front. They'll wash dishes. They'll learn in the kitchen. They'll learn how to bartend as long as it's they're the appropriate ages. They will run every bit of every job here. So what we do is we hire people and we ask them to do the work that we need. We don't hire for specific type of necessarily jobs. Small exception on the kitchen, just because I do need some people to have experience. But I'll tell you right now, we have a guy that was hired as a bartender, and he's one of our kitchen staff now because he found his niche. And so we want to become that. That's the goal for us, is that each one of the people that come into our community, especially these younger kids that are 19, 20, 22, they don't know. A funny part also, Eric, is you put my book is every employee has to read it. So they can't stay employed with us after 3 months if they don't read this book, because it's a book about accountability and happiness. We want every one of our people to have the best job that they've ever had to be with us. And that's up to them, and up to them, their own happiness and accountability. So that's what we require. So we have one common language here.
Perfect. And it is, I love that. It's about building your culture, and you do an amazing job of that.
Thank you.
Rick asked a question. We kind of tapped into that. Could you just go over the estimated annual sales? He's talking about in terms of the impact on the community, in terms of sales tax, anything else?
Depending on the size, we run about 2.5 to 4 million. That's just based on the size of the facility. So our annual sales, we try to target at about, it depends on, for the 25,000 square foot type facilities, we target 2.5 million in total sales. That's a combination of food and beverage, actual game experience, and other entertainment options that we provide inside the facility. And then as the larger facilities, we can go up through 3.7 to 4, maybe even 5, depending on the demographics. We do believe our second location will conservatively generate about $4 million in revenue a year. And then very profitable locations as well. So we have a very big push because community is one of our core values that we give back to our community. So we are always basically partnered with various local organizations. In fact, in January, we'll be dropping our Big Brother, Big Sister burger here for the local Denton County Big Brother, Big Sisters, where every purchase of that burger, $1 goes to the local charity. So, yep. Does that answer the question? I can't see all the questions, so just.
Yeah, you did. And if you could, as a reminder, and I may have not mentioned this, put your location and everything with your questions so we kind of know who we're talking to and what part of the country. But Donald Oleski, he asks, have you determined what type of complementary businesses would want to locate near your facility?
Yes, I think we're still determining some of those, but I think that the businesses that want to locate near us, what I find in our industry and entertainment is there's a lot of entertainment out there, a lot of food and bev and stuff. So you're really kind of in that more retail environment that likes to co-locate around us. Something that we're going to bring about 125 to 200,000 people through our doors every year, depending on the size of the location. So it's areas that I want to come, I want to spend 2-3 hours, and then maybe I can do, some other stuff before I go home. We bring about 62% of our attendance come from home. So if you're looking at, economic development, the hardest thing is to drag someone away from Netflix and the couch. We over-index compared to Dave & Buster's and Topgolf by doing that. 62% of our people come directly from home to our facility. So the businesses that want to be co-located are people that have to drag you out of home. So I hope that answers that question.
Perfect. Got a question from Rick. This is probably something that's required by you, but how much of the revenue is from bar and food sales as opposed to the gaming revenue?
Yeah, we about 25% on our bar and food is our revenue breakdown. Our target is about 30% in the end. We have 25 is fine for me. We about 25% event sales, 25% bar and food. And then right now it's 50% for the game. We are continuing to add more entertainment features in here to keep people and to have more offering to the community. So that 50% will split between not just EVA, but also other booster attractions that we add.
So most of these other questions have been answered. We don't have any other. We have a question up here from an anonymous. This one's going to be tough. Just me thinking about it. Is it possible to retrofit office space?
Potentially. I would say it's a challenge, and I'm happy to try to work on that challenge because that opens up a lot more space for us. The hard part is just support columns. So it depends on office
probably
space.
Also.
Yeah, it's just tough. And I know that's probably where most people will want to do this in the future. So that's something that we're trying to work through as well, because there's a lot of office space that'll go vacant soon.
Okay. Perfect. Last question I want to ask you on here, then we'll get to the submission process and deadlines. I know you've got these two locations and you've got all the other locations. Are there any types of incentives that would help you be more successful in year 1, year 2 operations when you open your locations?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's probably standard for everybody. If we can lower our capital output to begin with. So if there's any sorts of grants or ways that we can keep, if we're doing build to suit land, lower, basically for us, the most success we can have is to improve our cash flow early days. So that's really generated from lowering our capital expenditures and build outs. Our build outs generally run somewhere about 2.5 to 3.5 million per location, depending on the size of the location. And if we do build a suit or renovation. So by being able to lower those numbers down, it really helps. Additionally, having investors in the community that want to support this and having local investors is very important to us, because I think the buy-in from the local community and the investment from the local community is very important to us as well.
Perfect. All right. If you have a question, by all means, pop it in there. Submissions, Project VR Quest. Throw up that poll, Caressa, if you could. If you are interested, go ahead and just pop yes in here. That will alert our community assessment directors get in touch with you and help you work through the submission process and make sure that we get those over to Salem and his team on a timely basis. Our deadline for submissions on this one is January 5th at 5 p.m. Please don't wait till January 5th. As we get these in, we want to decipher them and kind of go through them and organize them so that they're very manageable and something that they can kind of put on an A, B, and C list in terms of who they want to talk to. We'll vet those, pre-vet them, then we'll put them together, and then we'll get out as Salem feeds back interest to us. We will organize probably secondary Zoom calls one-on-one with those communities before there's an actual visit to come in and see what the possibilities are there. So if you have any questions or anything, please reach out to our team. Here is our community assessment directors. We've got Amanda, Carol, Logan, and John. All of these people are there to help you understand the submission process. We will get these people in touch with you if you're interested in submitting and not a part of our elite network to help you get a proper submission in. So believe it or not, it is 12:01, so we caught up, even though we had the dead time. So
Thank you.
I really do want to thank everybody. A lot of great attendees here. I know you're busy building your cities and working your departments, and taking this time away is very hard for you guys, but it's a commitment to your communities that you've shown up. We're excited about this project. We hope you are, and we hope that we can find one of these facilities, open up one in your location, Salem, Brandon, Vladdy. I call him Vladdy now. So all of your team's been amazing to work with, and we do appreciate the communication that you've had with us. So we'll look forward to it. And till we do another Prospect Live, I'm going to sign off and say goodbye. And thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.